Hey everybody, welcome to our next Artist Journey series. We are live at the Artisan Center. Again, we are in separate rooms so that we can keep our doors shut and not wear our masks so you can hear us more clearly. My name is Carrie Dorsky. I put names on the screen tonight, learning as we go here. I am the operations coordinator here. I have been in this role since January. It has been a very fun and exciting year around here to settle back in. If you haven't participated or joined an Artist Journey speaker series yet, this is kind of our way of talking about the business of art and our way of bringing artists to you to talk about some of the tougher topics and things like that. Last year, the series began here in person at the Artisan Center, but since September, we have been virtual. So tonight, we are live on Facebook. Please post your comments. Jan, we see you. Hi. I will be monitoring the comments in chat, and I'm happy to pause and answer questions and things like that. And I do want to do a little bit of a plug for our December event. It's December 15th. We are going to meet and visit with the Department of Revenue. So Tracy Mueller is going to be joining us, and we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to join all together virtually in a WebEx so that everybody can be on camera and ask questions and chat. She asked if we could try that out, so we're going to. So if you're interested in sales tax, that's our December topic. Please join us. You can check it out in our events on our Facebook page and get signed up for that. I see Tina's here and Jerry Jensen's joining us. Hi, guys. I'm so glad to see some familiar faces. Also, for everybody, we are recording all of these talks. We recorded the ones in person. We're recording the ones virtually so that you can watch them time and again. You can come back if you want to. Hey, Molly, glad to see you. What else do I have notes on here? I already told you I'm going to keep an eye on those comments because I love to see that people are here with us. Let's turn it over to Michelle. Enough about me. Michelle is joining us tonight, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. We've known each other for a while, and I don't know if I can do it justice. So take it away, Michelle. Oh, we always got to be prepared for Plan B, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I see a thumbs up there. So
Great.
I think we're back in business. So Michelle, why don't you introduce yourself again now that everybody can hear you?
Okay, so I graduated from NWTC 30 years ago in the jewelry repair and fabrication program, and I moved back from Madison to do that. And then I have been a working artist part-time before that and full-time after that. Then opened an art gallery in Green Bay called The Gift Itself, and am represented by galleries across the country and The Gift Itself, and in this area, Edgewood Orchard Galleries. So I know this work from both sides of being a gallery owner representing and being represented by. So
I think that's one of the big reasons when we were talking about pricing, we thought of Michelle, is that you've done it from the gallery side and from the artist side, and not everybody has that kind of unique experience. So thank you for sharing that with us. I'm excited about tonight. One more thing to note, Michelle has put together this really great handout, and we are happy to share it with all of you. So put a comment in or send us a Facebook message. I will circulate this to all of you guys probably tomorrow.
Cool.
So yeah, let's get into pricing.
Okay.
We're going to just start right at the beginning here. Should we start about value, value and how you do things?
Yeah, you bet. And I know that pricing is the bane of the artist's existence. But please know that once you get a formula that works for you, it will become second nature. And dare I say, easy.
I love that. That's every time I bring this up with anybody around here, they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. It's difficult. Or they just want to give their artwork away because that's what they care about is creating. And I think it's so important. And this is one of those topics that's like, hey, we got to tackle this.
Yeah,
absolutely. We're going to do it.
Absolutely. So assigning value to your work. If you don't assign value to your work, nobody else is going to assign value to your work. You've worked, you've studied, you've labored, laughed and cried with your work. So that's the part of your, as it says in my notes, that part of your value and your artistic story. So you have to take that seriously and be excited about it. Share it with people and let them know that, what you've done and how you've gotten to where you are. That's all a part of it. 3 quick examples. A potter who went to an art show, saw another potter selling work across the way, similar work, priced 3 times as high as his. The potter across the way was selling out. He wasn't, took it all into his hotel room that night, tripled the prices, went to a different art show the next day and sold out. True story.
I love that story, right?
Right, exactly.
Perception.
Exactly.
I think that's what it is.
It is. And he also decided to value his work.
Exactly.
In a whole new way.
Yep.
So then I have a friend who's a chainsaw artist, and when the recessions happened years ago, instead of making smaller and smaller things, he made bigger things. And he kept feeding his family and working and doing all the things that he needed to do.
That's really interesting too. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And many of us know Joyce Fritz.
She did the first artist.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, when people ask Joyce how long it took her to make a bug in her famous bugs, she tells them how long she's been doing it. So that's a really cool way to do it. Like when someone says, how long did it take you to make that? Well, my family is different, but when I'm talking to clients, I say 30 years.
Yep.
Because that's my length of experience.
Exactly. Aaron showed me a funny video. We were here the other day and we were talking about pricing, and he showed me a video of somebody who makes like logos for companies.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, if I can make you a logo in 10, 20 minutes, why should it be charged by the hour? Shouldn't it be charged more because I was able to get you the product faster because of my experience?
Oh, that's good.
I know. I thought that was such a good one. I was like, you know what? Just because I work fast shouldn't mean I'm penalized for it, right?
And the reason I work fast is because I have all this experience.
Exactly, because you've been doing it for years.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So first thing you've got to take into account is expenses. So on my bench while I'm working, I'll have Post-it notes or a little notebook or something, because I want to keep track of how much silver I'm using, how much gold I'm using, what the price of the stones are, all of those things. Each artist in their own medium knows what that is. So then what you have to do in your expenses is you have to take into account your studio rental or the square feet of your studio in your home and know how much that is. And that in your home, you can also use that for taxes, insurance that you carry, website domain, Etsy fees, PayPal fees, postage, advertising, and art show fees.
I think a lot of people forget the business aspect because you have to pay for all of those things. Mm-hmm. It's not just the materials that went into the piece you're buying.
Right.
It's the whole cost of doing business. Mm-hmm. And I made one note to add to this list because I work here at NWTC. Yeah. I would put education in there.
Oh, for sure.
If you are continuing classes and you are paying for that education, exactly. Yep. I put it in my bright pink pen. I said, when you pay for a class, you're adding to your credibility, you're adding to your skill set.
Absolutely.
And you're only bettering yourself as an artist. So I think education should be factored into that list.
Absolutely. And say that you definitely, and then that's another thing you're committing yourself. And you're making a commitment to yourself.
And you're investing in yourself.
So say that you say every year I will take 1 class or 2 classes and then figure that into this list.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, whether you're traveling to see an expert,
right? Whether
you are continuing with somebody that you're familiar with, or whether you're trying even a new art form, I think that should totally be on this list.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. That's why we're doing this.
I love it. And so, and like we said, there's a lot of information here, and that's why we're going to send this out to you. And then Carrie can also send my email address so that if you have any questions when you read this, you can just email me.
For sure. We're here for follow-up. We're here for conversation. It's all about having a good artist community.
And helping each other.
Exactly. That's the thing. I think like what they say, a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
I do too. I agree. So then what you want to do is you want to figure out what that cost is. And then figure out how many pieces you want to sell in a month. Okay? Totally dependent on what medium you're working in. So say a jewelry artist wants to, because that's my background, it wants to sell 60 pieces a month. Then whatever that total is that you've come up with for your expenses, you divide that by 60. And that's the amount that you add to every piece that you make. It may be $8, it may be $25, but it's going to be something.
But at least you know you're covering your expenses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. So, and then we go into, there's other things that go into pricing your work. You also want to do some market research. You want to look at other artist websites who do similar work, see how long they've been doing it. Just kind of fill your head with other people's work and other people's pricing, and you can kind of see where you are as to your experience and those kinds of things. Okay.
And I think that's important too with where we are, where we live.
Yeah.
And that's one of the benefits about having a community arts center here and in the art garage across the street is that we can have these conversations within our community, because comparing ourselves to what artists are doing in New York or San Francisco,
right,
that's completely different than what we're working with here. So
right,
that market research is important.
Yes, it really is. And, look at other websites, Sundance, Artful Home, all of those. Galleries who represent artists that do similar work to yours. Etsy, keep in mind, though, that some sellers on Etsy sell at wholesale, or they sell for the cost of the materials. So if you see a price that's really low, ignore it, please. You're going to be a working artist, not a starving artist.
That's something we talked about before we even got started, and that is that we both hate that phrase. No more starving artists.
Working.
No.
And the other thing is, some of those people that sell on Etsy they have a day job and they sell cheaply because they just want to keep making and all of those things. So when you're setting up whatever you do, your website or anything else, talk about why you do what you do. Talk about, that you're a full-time artist and those kinds of things. Build your brand, build your community, and the people that will buy your pieces will find you. So, and visit art shows. Chat with other artists. Some of them will say, I had one artist, I asked her a question, and she looked at me and she goes, I'm not going to tell you that. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I don't know why. It was a simple question, but anyway. So, all right. So the formula, materials. That's all those little notes you have next to you. What the paint costs, those kinds of things. Labor. Expenses plus profit equals wholesale. Times 2 equals retail. Okay? And it should be at least twice the retail. I can tell you in the jewelry industry, when you're dealing with the big jewelry stores, their markup's at least 3. So,
and that's the thing, if you're just starting out, you don't know these things. And
right.
I think that that's really important. One of the first questions I wrote down when I was kind of thinking about our topics tonight was, how has this process changed for you? How long has it taken you to get to this point, to kind of having a formula and having your head really wrapped around this? I know we're going off script, but I think
that's
this.
Okay. No, that's great. And I want to remember to add something for expenses. For years, it was just basically write everything down. Didn't really take into account the studio space because it was the gallery.
Yep.
But it took years and years and years. That's why I did a deep dive. Okay, after Carrie asked me to do this, I had a formula before and it was so cumbersome. It was just like, please. And I hated doing it. And so I took a really deep dive into this, and I read a lot, and I searched on the internet, and I have like 6 books now they're called Pricing Your Artwork or something similar.
We have a few behind us.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just took a deep dive and learned from some people that were really smart, and then took the things that I knew would make it easier for me. So I plucked things from a lot of different places and then put it together and then started testing the theory. And what I've come up with here, I am so happy to price my work now. I'm just like, oh yeah, we can sit down and do that in just a few minutes.
Well, I think you touched on a good point there too, is it may not be a one size fits all.
Right.
You may not pick up a book and it tells you exactly how to do it. You might have to go to a few different sources and find a few different things, because what you make isn't the same thing as what Michelle makes. What the same thing is like a potter makes. It can be very different.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I forgot to put into expenses is tools. You know, if you're a painter, paintbrushes don't last forever.
So true.
So, all right, so your materials. So I'm gonna kind of break them down in here, and I have dog hair on the inside of my mat. And so I have 2 fuzzy black dogs and some Holly's.
Oh, that's the other reason we're both here tonight, is because we didn't want our dogs interrupting. We were talking about that on the phone earlier today. She has 2 dogs, I have 2 dogs, and mine bark at every little sound, and they would be up on my lap and wanting to say hi to all of you.
Yes.
So yeah, we came into the office today. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So cover all of your materials, all the little pieces and parts. Don't forget about the thread, a tiny gem, a painting emulsion that you use, the things like packaging. Best to have tracked these costs and figure them out for each piece.
I know that's really hard to do when it's something like paint or glue. One of the things I do is, I don't want to say like I start with the new one, but I kind of just keep track of like, okay, when did I buy this new bottle? How many pieces have I created now that it's half gone?
Right.
How many pieces have I created now that it's completely empty? And keep note of those things, because those are the things that it can totally get away from you.
Yep.
You have no clue, like, oh, that whole tube of paint is gone, and I don't know how long I've had it. I don't know when I bought it or what I used it on. So keeping track of those kind of consumable supplies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's relatively easy keeping a spiral notebook next to you when you're working and those kinds of things, and just jot those things down. It takes a second, and it'll make this process so much easier once you kind of get a feel for those parts of it. It really does.
And it doesn't have to be pretty. I know when Keith is working back in the clay studio, he uses a pencil right on the table to take notes.
Absolutely.
Whatever works for you.
Yep. Some people, I know, I have a friend that has a chalkboard.
Perfect.
Yep. Yeah, and guessing is not advised if you want business to grow. Swear.
Well, and you don't want to guess wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't want to undercut yourself.
Exactly.
Because then you've kind of set a precedence. And
yep. Labor. Pay yourself a living wage, for goodness sake.
I put a big pink star next to this one. Yes, pay yourself a living wage. How much time did you put into that?
Exactly. And as you're experiencing and your time in the business grows, give yourself a raise. It's okay. You're worth it. Swear. And you want to be a working, successful, financially stable artist. So that if you see that new shiny tool or the new most fantastic paintbrush, you will have the means to buy that, and just to celebrate the fact that you've gotten to that point.
And that tool could make your life easier.
Absolutely.
You could be investing into a tool that like saves you tons of time.
Yep. So the most recently available information is from 2018, and it's listed on the web as the average hourly wage table. Okay. It lists fine artists at $28.23 an hour, and craft artists at $19.59 an hour. Because I believe that the training and the work are worthy for both of those things, you can go with $25 an hour. Split the difference. And keep track of how many hours things take you. Even if you're working on 2 pieces at once, break it down. Know that, oh, I just spent an hour on this piece. Well, I have to let that dry or go in the pickle or whatever it's doing, and then you go work on another piece. But you keep track of both of those.
And a livable wage is important. You think about even like health insurance and retirement.
Yep.
You want to be financially stable.
Absolutely.
You want to be able to do this for the long haul.
Yep.
This isn't, something that you're kind of dipping your toes into, and then you do it wrong, and then you jump back out and have to go back to the corporate world. If you do it right and really put in the effort and put in the work up front, I think there's really some benefits on the other side.
It totally is. Yeah, totally is. I have a friend who's she's a jewelry artist, been doing it for years. We represented her at the gallery, and I was talking to her at an art show, and she was talking about, I was just sitting down this week with my financial advisor, figuring out when I could retire. And she's not retiring from doing her work.
Right.
She's just retiring from art shows.
Yep.
You know,
Good
and
for
that was
her.
her goal.
Yep.
You know, so
Yeah, because art shows are a lot of work.
yeah, they are. They are. So I won't run over this because it's in the handout, but your expenses, so your studio rental, your office supplies, all of those other things that we've talked about. It's kind of just a breakdown so you can see this. And I'm going to do some editing
Yep.
to this, and then I'll send it back to you.
I feel like you and I always do that when we're together.
I know.
Oh, wait, that's a great idea. We should add that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh.
So yeah.
Always evolving, always improving.
Mhm.
I live my life that way. So.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. And it's, you know, what a lot of people I don't think realize is that they're verbal processors. So you and I do that well together. I have another friend who's in the Carolinas, and we verbally process with each other. And it's really nice to have someone that, even if they're not in the same line of work that you are, that you can verbally process with them, because it gets you out of your own head and they go, did you ever think about this?
Yep.
And then that comes up.
And when we're so starved for like human connection right now and like being able to hang out and discuss these kind of things, no wonder we're going to have some good ideas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we've been thinking a lot.
Exactly. Well, and this one has been an exciting topic for me since we talked about it and canceled it back in, did we cancel March or April for you?
March or April.
Yeah, this was supposed to happen in person back in the spring, this exact conversation. So right. I'm actually really glad we had some more time to think about it.
I'm actually glad too, because then I was really able to use it
exactly
to dial it in.
And I think the pandemic changed things quite a bit. I know a couple of digital artists. I was talking to one just the other day, and she's doing something she's calling her passive income. So she put up digital downloadable prints on Etsy, and one news article featured one of them. And when she woke up the next morning, she had like 600 downloads, and she didn't have to do any work for them. Do you know what I mean by that? She had done the work up front. She had priced them very reasonable so that when they downloaded that button and paid that money, they got their artwork. She had to do nothing.
That's it.
You know, so technology in the pandemic has forced people to kind of pivot, and pricing changes. How you sell artwork changes. So
yeah, absolutely.
Now that we're way off the rails, where did we leave off?
Profit. Your business go. It goes right back into your business. Without profit, your business can't grow. So the profit portion relates directly to the work that you do. And it's completely up to you. So please don't sell yourself short. Let's use the 60 items that we talked about that you want to sell each month. If we add $10 in profit to each of those pieces, that's $600 a month, $7,200 a year to grow your business.
And I don't think $10 is going to make or break a customer. I think that's the point. Again, another pricing conversation with a friend in a whole nother realm. She sells like candle products, and she was making up these gift baskets for Christmas, and she started making her price points. And originally, $10 was a thought. If people are going to spend $10, they're going to spend 15 or 20. You know what I mean? Yeah. Adding on that $10 isn't going to scare away your customers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Especially when they love what you do.
Yeah. Yep. So there's some variations on the formula, which you can read too. So after you do the work and figure out what goes into the formula, and you have a true understanding of the costs that go into the work that you create, the variations are pretty simple. Actually, some painters price their work by square inch or price by size.
I see Aaron is commenting. I think it's Aaron commenting as the Artisan Center, and he said, out of COVID comes even more creativity.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's what artists do, right?
Absolutely, that's what we do. And then some 3D artists price by weight. So knowing your true retail price. So that's, all of those things that we've talked about. And then knowing what wholesale price is, and then what your true retail price is, okay? It's going to keep your business profitable. It's going to see that your bank account is growing, which always makes people happy. And it also keeps you focused and fired up to keep making work. Because if you're just trudging and trudging and trudging and not making it and not seeing a return of the investment, then, you kind of lose your steam.
You segued me into the perfect. I made one bullet point about my own journey with pricing. For many years, when I started here, when I was just part-time here, I was making birdhouses out of wine corks. See this lovely bag here? I made them for years. I sold out every time I did a release of them. And then it burned me out, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And I hated the tediousness of cutting up the corks and the damage they did to my hands. And it was a lot of hard work. And I was just pricing them based on what I thought people would buy them at. And finally, I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. And somebody asked me, well, like, what would it take to get you to make me one of these giant ones? And I put like an astronomical number on it. Like I thought they would be like, oh no. And they said yes. And so now that's the only way I do it, is for that astronomical number, because it's worth my while. It's worth that tediousness. It's worth hauling out all the supplies.
It's worth the hand cream.
It is, exactly.
Which should be on your list.
It should be, yes. Because when you're damaging your hands, that's important. So that's my own story about that. Like, if you don't price yourself and take care of yourself, you'll burn out on it, and then you won't want to do it anymore. And I think that's really sad.
I think it's really sad. And also, then when you look back, it's like that. It hurts.
It does.
It really hurts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I took pricing advice from people who didn't know. They just thought, oh, if I saw that in a store, that's what I would pay for it. And let me tell you, this is way smarter than that.
Well, yeah. And then the stuff you see in the store, what store are they talking about?
Exactly.
Are they talking about Stein's or
right? And was it
buy from
mass produced, right, made in molds, or you know what I mean? There's something to be said about paying for an artist's handmade creation.
Yes.
A one of a kind.
Yep. Absolutely. Make sure you can answer the question that you will get with confidence. Why is this so expensive? Or why does this cost this price? Or will you take X for this, a lower price? No.
Exactly.
Being confident in your pricing is a part of being in business, selling your work, along with your experience and education. Whether you're self-trained or a master degree artist, doesn't matter. You've put in the work. You've put in the time, you've put in the dedication, you've done all of that. So, and allow to be transparent with standing behind your price and your work. Because if you say, this is the reason that it costs what it does, and you can be confident in that because you've got it all in your head from doing the work that are in these pages. So you can be really confident in saying, that's what it is.
Yeah, you're not just saying, oh, I pulled that number out of the sky.
Right. I had a dream one night.
Yeah, well, it just felt like it should be $200.
Yeah, exactly.
You've done the work by keeping track of what you do and how you do it. And if those numbers are at the forefront of your brain,
yeah,
you can speak to what you do,
absolutely, especially
and confidently.
Absolutely. And remind yourself that you are paying yourself a living wage. Because that's really important too. Because, you can say to someone all of the things that but you also have to remind yourself that you're worth it, that what you do is worth it.
And having artists in our community make this place better for all of us.
Absolutely.
And I think that's been really true. And not a lot of people realize that when the pandemic happened, what were people doing? They were watching movies and listening to podcasts and watching TV and playing video games. That's all art.
Mm-hmm.
Music, that's all art. Those are all made by artists.
Yep.
And they don't think of that in the same realm as buying something handmade. It's all art.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it has been really interesting to see how many people have pivoted and really done some really cool things. I mean, Edgewood Orchard Gallery now has an online store.
Yep. I never would have thought they would ever do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they did it. They pivoted and made it happen.
Yep, they did. Yep. And, when you go up there, or in the summer, all the doors were open in the gallery. Everybody was wearing a mask. Even in the sculpture garden, people were still just left their masks on. It was really sweet.
I have a note, and it's kind of off topic, but
that's fine.
I think artist bartering is something that doesn't happen enough in this realm. And I wanna start on that, but I also want to talk about how you diversify what you sell, because I know you're really good at that. So what I'm leading into is, are you trading with people? How does that work? And then also, are you selling things that are like bespoke or commissioned, that are like more time consuming? And then are you doing more like production work that's easier for you? You know, I know some people do that, or I know some people have certain lines of work that they do. Can you talk a little bit about? I know that was kind of a loaded question.
It's a lot, but
Yeah.
but it's really important too.
One of the things we did a lot when I was in school was bartering, because we felt like we were at the same level.
Right.
And like if you were making jewelry, which you and I have done this.
Yes.
So if you feel like you value somebody's work and they value yours, that's oftentimes a great way to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Most of the bartering that I've done, we do retail to retail.
Yep.
It just makes sense, you know, and just makes it easy for everybody.
For sure.
I have a lot of custom work that I do for clients that I've had for years.
Yep.
And so, you know, that does, and the last couple of years, I've done some really intense pieces at the holidays.
Like time consuming, right?
Super time consuming. Super time
like
consuming.
labor of love kind of time consuming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just really, the whole idea of here are the stones, and I want you to create something like. That's it. That's all, you know.
And they just know they love your work, and they just like turn you loose.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's so, yeah, that's like.
But those are projects you charge for, you know,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's like from concept to execution and everything
Yep.
in between.
Yeah. Because a lot of, you know, the work that I do when I'm getting ready to do a gallery show or to send new work to a gallery, that work, I'm guided by the stone most times. It tells me what to do, or I look at it and I go, oh, I know what that should be. And so I can just kind of go with that. And so that's how it's different from the commission pieces, because it's just all me. Those commission pieces are all me, but I've got to figure out how to fit into, you know, is it a necklace? Is it, what are they asking for?
You know, the customer's on the other end of it.
Right. Exactly.
When you're doing an art show, do you make plans for different price points?
Yeah, definitely. I have, I call them my circle stick earrings,
Mm-hmm.
and my circle stick necklaces.
Yep.
And those are really fun because I make almost all the components.
Yep.
So they're rings that are soldered shut, and they're circles. I do buy the circles because you do. As an old friend of mine used to say, you don't get extra points for the grunt work.
Exactly.
You know,
make your lives easier.
Yeah. I still make my own jump rings because I have a really quick way to make them that I learned in school 30 years ago, and I enjoy it. It's kind of that Zen kind of thing.
That little meditative moment.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep. And so my circle stick earrings, so I'll make a whole bunch of components.
Yep.
I'll just spend one day making components, and then I have these great like lunch trays. And I found them for $1 a piece, and then I put the sticky stuff on them that you put out in the rug so they don't move.
Yeah.
And then my partner Steve made me a rack, and he cut grooves into it so I can push them in there. So I have all of my pieces for the.
You've kind of set yourself up to produce a large amount of work.
Yeah. And so I set that on next to my bench. And I just go, oh, that one goes with it. And it's just like, and then I lay them out with their parts, and then I just start assembling, and it's fun.
See, I knew she had a really smart process for this, and I wanted her to share it with you. I just didn't know how to get to that point of the question, is that she does things like this that I think are really good. And it's, you know, you set yourself up so that you can make a large quantity of work in a short period of time. And then that frees up your schedule so that you can focus on those big commission pieces. Right. And those ones that really require a lot of brain time and a lot of learning and time that you need to really invest in that piece. And I think that's really important for our artists and for everybody to know, is that every single thing you create doesn't have to be this like huge labor of love.
Right.
You can do some things that are like more kind of skill building. You know, you're always improving when you do things like that. And they might be a smaller price point, or they might be, I don't want to say inexpensive, but just maybe an entry level. There we go. So something that starts a collector with your jewelry.
Right.
It's like, oh, I bought that piece at Mardi Gras or wherever, and then every year they come back and they keep adding to their collection, or they spend a little bit more each time.
They do. And I have collectors that I've had for 30 years. And it's fun because some of the people that started with me, their kids and have been helped me, their grandchildren have been introduced to my works.
And I bet some of them started with your more entry-level pieces.
Totally. They really did.
Well, thank you for indulging me in that question. It took me a little while to get there, but
you're very welcome.
I thought it was an important one.
It is. And those circle stick earrings, they were, I sat down and made 50 one day. I made so many parts on that. I think I took 2 days just to make parts because that's the mood I was in. And that's also a good thing to do, like when you're having one of those days where it feels like nothing is going right.
That's such a good point, because artists, myself included, can be very fickle. Sometimes things just like aren't happening, aren't coming to you, and you're like, oh, dang it, I got to put this away.
Right.
That's the perfect time.
And so then it's just like, oh, wait, I can make circle stick parts.
Yeah. I can kind of zone out a little bit and calm myself and just make things.
Yep. And I can tell you that when I got sick because I had a cold, and it was really interesting because I was actually, when I would take my naps, I was actually thinking of ideas to use in the studio, which was kind of cool. And I did come up with a couple that I'm really excited to try.
I'm excited to see them.
So it's good. It's good. I love this. I mean, I love this concept.
Me too.
Of being able to just talk back and forth, because there are things that, you're going to be able to read this, but there are things that come up that are outside of all of that. So, and again, if you guys have any questions while we're on.
Please. I see a lot of asks for the handout, so I'll make sure to get those to you guys.
I'm going to do a little editing and then I'll get them to you. So
we got
it might be a day or two.
Add all of our notes to this because we've got a lot. Do you want to start with some of your tips before I ask a couple more questions?
Sure. Always sell your work at retail price, true retail price. The other thing I have to add in is my friend and family discount is 10%.
Across the board. Like, that was one of the most mind-blowing things she had ever said to me, was because I was so used to, like, my mom or my aunts or whoever sending me a Facebook message and being like, hey, I saw this, can you make it? And they, like, expect it, just like, hey, I'm going to make this for you.
Right.
That's not how it works.
No. My mom's ordered some earrings for some friends, and I took my regular price and I discounted it 10%, and they were fine with that. But then I don't have to like have this angst and endure, all this about, oh my God, what should I charge them? And no, it's just 10%.
It just is what it is.
It is what it
it's
is.
Just like flat rate. I love you. You're a friend or a family member, and here's what I can do for you. It's not like, oh, you're close friends, so you get this amount, and you're like third cousin, so you get this. So
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. It was like eye-opening for me. So.
I'm glad. It just made it easier. And when I had the gallery, it was just like,
and then you don't have to like waste the brain space on it. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to like get anxious about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the more times that we can take away that angst and that anxiousness out of what we do every day, the more joy we have in what we do every day.
And I don't want to say it forces everybody, but it kind of forces people to take you seriously.
It does.
And they should.
Yes, they should.
This is a business.
Right. Exactly. Whether you're doing it part-time or full-time, it's a business. It's your business. It's your baby.
Whether it's a side hustle or a full-time thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. Exactly. I'm going to plug our February month. We are having Kelly Quakelier in from Gracie Designs, and she is like wholesale queen. So if you have wholesale questions, if that's some kind of path you want to go down, that's her thing. When I worked with her, she was selling to all of the Yonkers across country. She is in boutiques like worldwide. So hold out for February if you are interested in more wholesale stuff and how she got herself into all of those markets. So more good business art stuff coming.
Way cool. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. Her and I were just chatting this week. And again, same kind of thing. Her and I have good chemistry like this. We hang out, we talk about these things.
Exactly. It is fun.
It is.
Be consistent in your pricing. The same price, whether you're selling it yourself or a gallery is selling it for you. Because if you're in an art show in a town that one of your galleries is in, and they discover you're selling your work for a lower price, you're out. You're out. And I can tell you that when we had the gift itself, that did happen. And it makes the gallery look like they're gouging people or that they're taking your work and marking it up so that they can make money. If you show a consistent price across the board, no matter what venue it is, then people get used to that and they're not just waiting for you to be at the art show and then, the gallery doesn't get to really represent you.
And that gallery deserves that commission. They're open, standard hours, they are staffing that, they're paying for that building, they're paying for that marketing. That gallery is doing a lot of work for you as an artist, and it's really unfair to undercut them.
Yeah. And their commission is really, really worth it. Yep. I mean, we had an artist book and we had stories about the artists and we got to know every one of our artists in one way or another. Some were really close friends and some were just acquaintances, but we were really good business partners. And so it worked out really well. And I always called the artists my partners, our partners.
And think about it. If you as an artist alone with the art you make is going to open a store, think about it from that aspect. Would you want to have to be there 8, 10, 12 hours a day each day?
And in the Christmas season, sometimes pulling 24 hours?
Exactly, because you are competing.
Mm-hmm. You are. Yep. You are. So you don't want to be the cheapest. It may seem like a way to make sales, but you're appealing to customers who are shopping on price. Research shows that these customers are the least loyal and the most hard to please. So, yeah.
I have a couple more questions because we have 15 more minutes, and I'm also keeping an eye on the chat. So if anybody else wants to pop in with a couple more, then we don't have to just ask all mine.
So the one last thing I want to say is,
for sure,
making money is not a dirty word. That's a friend of mine who's in business here in Green Bay, and that's exactly how he said it. And I have loved that ever since. And he is super, super, super successful.
Keep telling yourself that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good mantra. It's not a dirty word. No. We all need to make a living. We all need to pay our bills. Right. And we all need to be secure in the future.
Absolutely.
So. Okay, I have a couple things I don't have crossed out yet. So, okay. Do you ever run any discounts, promotions, or specials?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
It was really fun.
Yep. That kind of drama and kind of like drum up the.
Yeah. And it did get a great reaction. Mm-hmm. I had several sales, not tons, but several sales. But people were sharing it so much that I got a whole bunch of new people following me, mm-hmm. which was really cool. And if I do it only once a year. And it's generally when I'm sick of looking at the things that are on my Etsy page.
Yep. A clean house.
I'm like, okay, we're not putting anything new up right now because that's all fresh. Yep. And so I want to kind of clear some of this, mm-hmm. And it's not that it's less work. I mean, It's not that it's less than work. It's just pieces I'm tired of working.
Right.
So, okay, 20%, but only once a year.
Yeah.
And my friends and family laugh that they should wait for that, but it doesn't coincide with any of the things they need. So,
right.
But it's a funny running joke.
And I see a lot of artists who are trying to do things like that, or are they like drumming up a lot of business, or they're always offering promo codes or discount codes. And honestly, I think the way you do it and the reason why you do it is kind of the best way to do it.
I like it. And a friend used to own a store and would have sales every year, like twice a year. And so people would go into the store, and it was not an art gallery. It wasn't one of a kind work. They would go into the store and they would see what they liked and they would wait for the sale.
Oh.
And so what happened was he went out of business.
Yeah.
Because that's just, can't do that.
Right. It's almost like making yourself like Kohl's, who always have a coupon or always have a discount running. And then they know that if you can discount your work, why Why aren't you doing it all the time?
Right.
I see we have questions.
Yay.
Okay, Nancy says, can you ask someone who is selling the same items for less to raise their retail price? I say, yeah, definitely.
I say, yeah.
Yes.
I say, if it's at an art show,
Yep.
you probably want to grab their business card.
Yeah.
And a way you might want to do it is to share with them the pricing, how you do your pricing. And then, ask them nicely, because you're undercutting other artists. And that's something that I see at art shows. And yeah, they may not know.
Right.
They may not have figured it out yet.
It may not be intentional.
It may not.
Yeah.
It may be, but
Right.
you can always ask, and I would do it.
Yeah, and I think positive encouragement is right. And you say, hey, I value your artwork. I value what you're doing.
Right.
Raise those prices. Step up to this playing field and show that all of the art at this art show is valued.
Exactly.
Okay, we've got a couple more. Trisha says, how do you politely decline commission requests for a person asking specifically for inexpensive or saying, I want this painting made, but I don't want to spend an arm and a leg? I don't think you need to be polite about it. I cover my mouth like I don't have a mask on because I can't believe I just said that, but I don't think you need to be overly polite. I think it's just matter of fact.
Well, and once you have your pricing down and you can stand behind your true retail price, once you know that, you can stand steadfast in your experience, and you can explain if you want to explain to them. If you just want to say no. There was a commission piece that I was asked to do, and they brought it in, and it was like to the millimeter. It was a cross. It was to the millimeter of how it was done. And I politely said to them, I said, I'm an artist, and there's no room for my artistic ability here, but I do know someone that does this kind of work, and gave them the name, and they went and had it done.
There you go. A referral.
Yeah.
That's kind of a great solution.
It worked.
Okay, let's see what else we have here. I know this isn't the topic, but do you have any quick tips on marketing? I'm in a rural area, no gallery, so it's hard to get my name out there. Oh,
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram for sure.
I love Instagram.
Yep.
That's a great way. There was an Instagram class not that long ago that was kind of fun. I have a couple of friends that use it really well.
Yep.
And
those hashtags are what get you kind of noticed, I think.
Yeah. And there's tons of places to find those hashtags, and then connect them to your Facebook group page or business page or your own page, whichever one.
And I don't want to say like hold out for February because I know that's a long ways away, but if you take a look at Gracie Designs, that's Kelly who's going to join us in February. And I swear she is just like queen of that. So maybe we'll have to bring her back for wholesale and marketing because I think she's got some great stories to share.
And I don't know if we made a copy of that, but when Molly and I that night,
many moons ago,
but Molly and I did that marketing thing, and we were like flashing back and forth.
I have a copy of that. I have a folder for it, so I'll find it. So I've got some good marketing handouts.
And that was even pre-Instagram, was it?
I think so.
I think it was.
So we'll have to take a look and see how new and current that is.
Yeah, but I think that's really fun. And let your personality show
for sure
on Instagram.
Yep. And I'm going to show my age a little bit on the young side. I have seen so many artists turn to TikTok and show their progress videos. It has been mind-blowing. They will show like a video of them like carving or making a piece of pottery, and their Etsy pages will blow up. So don't be afraid to share your story and your process, because I think people who aren't artists are just like fascinated by it. Okay, I see some more stuff rolling in here. So commission pieces. Is it standard practice to ask for money down?
Yes.
Yes.
You have to know that there's a commitment there. One artist friend does a third on signing a contract. Or okaying the work, and yes, get them to sign the design or the whatever it is.
And I think we do a couple of things like that here, and I always keep track of drop-off date, intended delivery date, have they paid, how much have they paid, how much do they owe, Having good records for that kind of thing is really
Really
important.
important.
And I don't think it's unheard of to pay half down. I paid half down for my husband's wedding band, so.
It's not. And make sure that whatever you're asking down covers all of your materials.
Yeah.
Every single bit.
That's a good rule of thumb. We should add that to this
Yeah,
handout.
we did that. Can I take your notes home with
Yeah,
you?
for sure. Oh, for commission pieces, we want half down cover expenses.
Yes.
Exclamation point, right? Okay. Trisha said it gets harder to be more polite the more it happens. I totally get it. And Molly said, and that was fun.
Yes, it was.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe how long ago that was. You're making me feel old. Well, let's check my notes. Let me see if I have any more questions for you. So I have 2 questions we haven't covered yet.
Okay.
Kind of. What advice do you have for artists who haven't sold anything yet or are just getting started?
Research. And getting your pricing down, really important. Keep track of when you get an order from, say, a supplier. You know, if I order a 6x6 inch piece of sterling silver, and I know that that's 36 square inches, and then I take the price that I paid for it and divide by 36, okay?
So you know every time you grab an inch of that, how much you spend.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And then I mark that down.
Yeah.
So really good records. If you haven't sold anything yet, really good records. Research. Look at what other people are doing, what their, where their pricing is, those kinds of things.
My big tidbit, the big thing I want to tell you if you haven't sold a piece yet is if you sell it for too low, you can change your prices.
Yep.
You're not locked into it because the more in demand you are, and I saw this in your handout, the more in demand you are, you raise that.
Yep.
It's important.
You do.
And you don't want to undercut the people you're competing against.
Exactly. Well, like that potter that took his work into his room and
priced everything overnight.
Didn't get much sleep, but had a happy day.
Exactly. Worth it. And then I have, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, but how has working with like Edgewood Archer Gallery, how has that changed your pricing? Or has it changed your pricing?
No, it really hasn't. But because I'm another year into it and another year into it, I can pay myself a little bit more. Yep. But I also want to stay in that range,
For sure.
and I kind of know.
Yeah, you know what your customers are paying, and you know what that market in that area of Door County sells for.
And I have a gallery in Astoria, Oregon.
Yeah.
And they're pretty similar to Edgewood. So that's, I think I've gotten better at my pricing.
Yep.
And
confident in your formula.
Confident in my formula.
So you haven't had to
Right. And owning the gallery too for so long, I was able to learn a lot through that. There was something I just thought of and it flew out of my head.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't you. It's colander brain.
Yeah.
Falls out the little hole.
Oh yeah. Well, that's every single question, and look, we're at 6:26.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know, did we plan that perfectly or what?
You must have. And if you haven't sold anything yet, the other thing is, and maybe at some point have somebody talk about that, but I have a formula to work with for my taxes. We brought in some tax experts before I came back here and they did that. And that's one of the reasons that sales tax is coming next month is because we heard people ask for that. Just make sure you have all your ducks in a row. Ask yourself a lot of questions before you get into selling your pieces. Make sure that you're pricing them. Don't sell them for wholesale to the retail population. Don't, give yourself what you deserve. Making money is not a dirty word. And please, if you have topic ideas, if there's things you want us to expand on, if there's more you want to hear on a specific thing we covered tonight, add it to the comments, send us a Facebook message, anything and everything. We are, I'm always planning these and always trying to think of like what could be most beneficial for you guys. So please, I want to hear from you guys. So yeah, like I said, Carrie will add my email to the end of when we send these out. And if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. I only check my email like in the morning. So because that's a good tip though. I'm in the studio the rest of the time. And I know that from a few artists I work with around here that if you want them to see their email, they're going to see it
before they get to the studio.
Right.
Once they get to the studio,
My computer's in the other room.
yeah, exactly. You got your hands dirty, you're making things.
I'm making things.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing some nice comments here at the end. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you
I'm
for
so glad we
asking me.
could do this.
I'm so glad.
Despite the masks and the pandemic and the technology issues, it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Well, you guys let us know if there's anything else we can do for you. And if you have any ideas, I am going to close us down. Thank you.
Good night.